Have you seen this? An incisive Christmas musical about late-stage capitalism with some truly awful songs.
Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
This show would not be possible without the support of our patrons. If you would like to support our show, join us at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. Patrons get the show a week early, and $5 supporters also get access to our Discord. Or you can tip us at our Ko-fi. Visit the link in the show notes.
I mean, I wish I'd seen that. That would have been great. Sounds like a great movie.
Jen, who else have we roped into this charade?
Well, I got a gun, and I marched over to the East Coast, and I press...
Yeah, you can put it down now if you want.
No.
Like, I watched the
No,
movie.
I can tell you...
He's going to shoot you over the
You
internet.
will run if I don't hold this gun on you the entire time, and who could blame you?
Got it, okay.
Friends. This is a friend of ours. We've had him on the show before. He is on the extremely intelligent and funny podcast, The Worst of All Possible Worlds, or as I like to call it, The Theaterist Kids You Know.
True.
And you might be able to call him Boshua, but don't bro him if you don't know him. It's Josh Boerman. Josh, welcome.
Hey, folks. It's me. Thanks for that delightful introduction. Yes, call me Josh, Bosh, whatever it is you desire. I am here to make your heart sing in the same way that these characters sang.
Sort
oh boy,
of.
did they sing.
Yeah, they sing by repeating 1 to 3 sentence phrases several times.
And in some case, one word,
Yeah.
which we will get to also.
Yeah, it's a musical with sort of songs.
Yeah, as you know, like I have a pretty broad acceptance of musicals, but even this one...
Shut the
I'm
fuck up,
so-
Tim.
Jen,
I'm sorry.
Did you specifically drag me in for this one because it was a musical? Because when we got to the first number, like my note was, "Oh, this is a musical." I was so upset. I think the first there's opening credits that include a song.
Probably the best song
but
in the
then
movie.
once you get into the body of the movie, I think the first musical number, to the extent that it can be called that, is like 3 or 4 minutes in.
Yeah, and that is being very generous to call it a musical number. Like,
Yes.
the theme song, they at least, put some effort into it. Like, this is the song that was almost written. Like, that's kind of about as much effort as they put into any of the music in this one.
I thought the animation was really cute. It was kind of like a spy versus spy kind of thing,
Yes.
where you had Santa and the other guy, and they were fucking, I don't know, throwing ash back and forth or whatever.
Throwing shade, yeah.
Yeah, and Santa's running around rooftops in these really cunty little boots. But I don't know
Yeah.
if we've actually said the title.
Oh, we probably should, yeah.
Josh, do you want to tell the nice folks what I forced you to watch?
Yeah, so we watched a motion picture called The Christmas That Almost Wasn't.
Dare to
Lucky
dream.
us.
AKA the bullet that was nearly dodged.
Yeah, not quite.
Yeah.
And this one was apparently a staple of pay TV for many years. I think it got shown on HBO or one of those channels a lot.
Okay.
And so it was a fixture of some childhoods, not mine. I was too busy watching Hot to Trot, a superior film in almost every way. But
I really pity anybody for whom this was like a childhood staple. Like, this does feel like a cursed thing that you would have on an old VHS cassette. Like, that seems to be what it was almost designed for in a way.
Something this was really popular, but no one had ever heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I had actually, not to keep going back to Mystery Science Theater 3000, but I had heard this name checked on, I think, one of the Joel era episodes. And in fact, they did use it as the subject of one of their Netflix season episodes in abbreviated form, to my dismay, as I discovered when I watched this on Tubi. Yes, it's free to stream on Tubi if you must.
How long was that edit? Because this was 90 minutes that felt like 3 hours.
I think that I couldn't say off the top of my head, but I think the Mystery Science Theater episode probably ran an hour and a half, but they put in host segments and stuff like that, and
Sure.
Felicia Day being really fucking annoying in a few segments. So
Yeah, like I'm cute, right? That stands in for funny, huh? Yeah. So awkward. It's like,
I mean,
I hate.
that's always been my trick. I don't know. What you no need to throw shade at me.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, you make it look easy, so everyone thinks they can do it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so that's so true. That is so fucking true, Tim.
Yeah. So they even though they weren't making this for broadcast television, they still got
Good, because it doesn't belong there.
they still got an edited version which trims out quite a few of the songs, not to the movie's detriment, I have to say. And
Yeah, if you took out every part where a character repeats themselves or a song is just, like we're saying, like the same phrase repeated over and over again, this movie would be like 40 minutes long.
Yeah, I will say, Jen, it is a damn good thing that you didn't have my co-host AJ on for this episode, because he has like actual strong opinions about musical theater and musical theater songwriting. And you would not have heard the end of it. From me, you will eventually hear the end of it because I'll get sick of it. But AJ would not have.
well, I would just turn it back on AJ because this movie is Italian in origin, and I would just say to him, AJ, this is your movie from your people, so I blame you.
It's true. It's his people's fault. Yep.
Yeah, it's another cheap Italian knockoff, which that took me a second to figure out because it wasn't after the apocalypse and there weren't any zombies in it.
Nobody was driving around in like muscle cars with like shit hot glued to them to make them look futuristic.
Yeah, and El Camino with like a sheet metal roof. I don't know.
Also, there are no.
Oh, I was gonna go in a different direction and say there were no large green dinosaurs that said "yee."
And unfortunately, no insanely hot, large-breasted Italian women. There is just Mrs. Claus, who happened to be married to one of the stars, Rossano Brazzi,
well, the writer, director, star.
Sort of. This was also the brainchild of the man who plays Sam Whipple, the lawyer, Paul Tripp, who I guess was a lifelong children's entertainer. He was very active in early television and children's and educational programming, and just seems like he's probably a very nice man. I just don't know if he can really write good screenplays or songs.
Well, no, he certainly can't. If this movie is anything to go by.
Right.
We have the evidence. We have the receipts. Yeah. The music does not come across. I didn't even check the credits to see if there was anyone writing the music or if they just kind of like came up with it on the day of.
It feels improvised, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, it's like placeholder. There should be a song here. Write me a song about Christmas is coming. There's a song about someone waiting.
Yes.
Like, yeah, the audacity to have a song about
that was insane.
Yeah, that was when I started to get really mad. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm kind of like making gravy at where I can out of like the, political socioeconomic messages in this movie. But then, yeah, there's a point where it's just like, this is a song about waiting for something. That is not entertainment.
Right. The way if you want to make a song about waiting, you need to add a certain amount of specificity. Like there needs to be a twist at some point where like every verse maybe is he is waiting for something and then he thinks he sees the thing he's waiting for, but no, it's something else. Like you have to tell a story. It's always just the beats of all of these songs are just saying the same thing over and over and over and over again.
It's really terrible.
Well, hey, it's for kids.
Yeah,
and kids are stupid apparently.
Right.
Apparently.
Kids just like repeating something over and over again. That's how you get them.
I feel like it's the thing too of like people who don't really watch musicals, I think this is what people think of a musical as.
I can kind of see that. Speaking of repetition, like the Christmas is Coming song, like I think I'm using the wrong word, but like it gets a reprieve, like it comes back again.
It is reprised, an interesting dramaturgical choice by the villain at the end, who has had his conversion experience and now is. I'm trying to remember, what were even the fucking lyrics? I didn't write any of the lyrics down.
Christmas is coming,
couldn't it be
Christmas is
every
coming,
day?
Christmas is coming, Christmas is coming, Christmas is coming, and Al, just repeat until vomiting.
The idea is that Christmas is coming.
Yes.
But there's also like, isn't there something of like, why can't, I did write something down. Why can't every day be Christmas? Why can't every day be gay?
Well, because President Trump is going to put an end to that nonsense.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing about that too is I should just say, why can't Every Day Be Christmas is somehow the best number in the movie? It's all downhill from there, which is exceptional.
Yeah, they kind of blew their wad. It's like, hey, I've got one song. We can make a musical. And then all the other songs should be as easy to write as this one. And then they figure out, oh, that isn't actually the case.
Yeah, and you can really tell because, like, the songs are extremely samey. They're all kind of structured the same way. They can all...
They leave no impression.
Yeah, they can all sort of be talked through by people who can't really sing that well, which is weird because, okay, you have Rossano Brazzi, who famously sang Some Enchanted Evening, and the guy playing Santa was actually in his native Italy a jazz singer, but he's dubbed, and I don't think that's his voice because he sounds like a native English speaker, and this guy was not.
He just wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah, which seems like a waste. Like, you cast like an actual singer, and then you give him like a kind of crappy song, and then you have somebody dub him singing it. It's a weird choice.
Another weird choice. The request, can it be Christmas every day? I mean, that is the participation trophy mindset. That
so true. So true.
Yeah, it's just ruining this generation.
Yeah, well, it's also because it's the first thing that we hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I think this song starts 2 or 3 minutes into the movie. It's setting, I think, a false tone. Like, what you see at the beginning is not at all what the rest of the movie turns out to be. Because at the top of the thing, you meet Mr. Whipple, and, you know, he's going to squeeze your Charmin.
Yes.
He's putting up, like, tinsel and shit on a Christmas tree, and all the kids fucking love him. And it seems like, oh, this is going to be, like, I don't know, the Fred Astaire character in Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah.
Right? Just like a nice everyman narrator character. No, it turns out that he's going to sort of be the dramatis personae around which the entire film revolves, and he's a fucking lawyer.
Yeah, he's sort of like the lawyer, also like a Greek chorus in a way. He's there to like signify everything that's happening.
Right.
Well, he's also there to
he
fucking
also is like
hold Santa's hand, because the Santa Claus in this movie is the most infuriatingly passive Santa I've ever fucking seen.
Barely functional.
Fucking hate this guy.
Santa, and I've seen some awful Santas. The Santa of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians comes to mind. Santa is played by Christopher Mitchum, son of Robert in Santa's Summer House. Awful Santas. This Santa sucks. He's just
that's probably why they dubbed him.
pathetic.
Because, I mean, it being Italian, he's like, a-ho, you make your mom so proud.
Well, and I would love to, I'm going to enjoy ripping this Santa apart, but I think, Tim, I cut you off because I had to tell the world how much I hate this fucking Santa. But you were saying about, I think, the lawyer, Sam Whipple.
Oh, well, I mean, I just dislike him because he has yeah, he is, I guess, a successful children's entertainer, but to me, he's like this sort of, has this unsettling sort of grinning elfish appearance to him. And he's kind of like a Big Lots Bing Crosby.
I was going to say discount like Wish.com Danny Kaye.
Yeah, I was going to say he's like Danny Kaye's little brother who didn't quite make it in the biz.
He's like one of those like random like undifferentiated Amazon brands. He's like made by Toytron or Santa Cass or like the Noth Puel brand or something.
He's
something vaguely Christmassy.
He's the GoBots Fred Astaire from a Rankin and Bass special.
There you go. Yeah.
Inferior product.
But yeah, some sort of like mirror universe Danny Kaye.
Yeah, and he's got this pinched little high elfin voice, which is very annoying.
He is not ingratiating to me.
The whole movie is overdubbed, by the way. Like, do we know, is it actually his voice that is overdubbing himself here?
I believe it's him, and I believe it's also Rossano Brazzi, and that's because in Italian filmmaking for a long time they didn't shoot with sync sound. And
sure, okay.
More often than not, like you would get actors like dubbing their own material a lot of the time, but at the same time, it was also easy to get another actor to step in perhaps if your voice is too strongly Italian accented to pass as
Could
Santa
be,
Claus.
I thought they just dubbed the whole thing because they had a Great Dane barking through the entire shoot.
Oh yeah, there is a dog.
So there's there's a scene where they go to like rough up Prune, but no, they're
lean on him a little bit.
Yeah, they're turned away by a large, relentlessly barking dog. Yeah, so Santa's just kind of like crying in his beer, just like moping about. Again, this like passive, shitty Santa.
Right.
Where it's like, I guess Christmas is canceled this year. What can you do?
Yeah, and he hasn't fucking done anything until like 5 days before Christmas.
Well, we discover, right, that Santa is the whole reason he's acting so mopey is that the land that his workshop sits on has been deeded over from the local natives to a landlord. And this landlord is now demanding payment, including arrears, which he does not currently have access to. And Whipple is not liquid enough to cover the amount. And so he's like, well, Santa, looks like you're just going to have to get a job.
And Santa's like, but work? I do Santa stuff. I work 1 day a year. Come on.
Yeah, and it should be pointed out that this movie is kind of a not only like a repudiation of the child-free mindset, but also like a scathing portrait of the neuroatypical, because Santa and Whipple clearly both have some kind of executive function disorder, because, you know, I mean, Santa's a disaster, and Whipple tells Santa, like, oh, you know, sometimes I forget to send out bills to my clients. And I was like, dude, like, what?
I don't know. I mean, that's a generous interpretation. I think they're just fucking stupid, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, I wasn't going to be ableist about it, Josh, but if you must, then yes,
I
we'll
have
be
executive
ableist.
function issues, and I am doing perfectly fine, thank you.
Yes.
I am calling Santa out, not in, out. He's a dumb motherfucker.
But that's true.
Call him
like,
out into the North Pole.
This Santa genuinely does not seem very bright. I will say that.
No.
Yeah. So
I just think it's such a weird thing too, how like right up front you're establishing that the villain of this movie is a landlord, which everybody hates a landlord.
Yeah,
right.
As they should.
Obviously, the goal here should be to find a way to free the land from the possession of this landlord and return it to Santa, because the land rightfully belongs or should belong to him. That is not what happens in this movie. It is 80 minutes of Santa making money to pay the rent.
Yeah, this is a like real sort of traveler player solution. The sort of one that, you know, my gaming group comes up with a lot, where it's like, hey, you could do something really big and brave and that'll solve your problems. Like, or we can go to work every day. I'm like, this is not fun. Like, this is not interesting.
I mean, a solid, at least half of the movie is literally Santa clocking into his job, being a Santa at a like children's toy store.
Yeah, they invented the mall Santa, which is a weird kind of Baudrillardian sort of situation, because it is the actual Santa, the real live Santa, who comes into the department store, and the guy's like, oh, this will be great. You can be like a fake department store Santa. It's like the real Santa, you know, no longer exists. He becomes inextricably tied to the consumerist notion.
Yeah, what does this really say about like what Santa is, man? Like, is Santa really a person, or is it just a creation of the consumerist mindset? This movie goes there.
Right, yeah. It's consumerism manifest.
And Tim has read Santa and Simulacrum, by the way.
That's terrible.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but as them clocking, going to work, Sam Whipple, who I guess is an otherwise skilled lawyer, just takes the job as a janitor.
I mean, we don't really get much one way or the other to indicate whether or not Whipple is any good at his job. I would argue most of the evidence points toward him being bad at his job. Like, he's able to maintain an office, but the chairs, the seats in the chairs just give out on you. And when he tries to open up his safe with all of the earnings in it, he's like, oops, I forgot to bill my last 10 clients. And it's like, what are we doing here, dude?
A lawyer who forgot to bill his clients. Am I right, folks? Why don't they make the plane out of the black box?
Well, it's about mythical figures like Santa and lawyers who don't bill their clients.
Oh, okay.
Boom, solved. But yeah, I'm sure Will will be like, "Hey, I'm a lawyer, not a carpenter," but what can you do? But yeah, like everybody in this movie has fucking problems that they're not facing up to. Like with the villain, it's like undealt with childhood trauma that causes him to just be an absolute raging dick to everyone for no reason.
Right. This is a character named Mr. Prune.
Phineas T. Prune.
I forgot his name halfway through, so I started calling him Mr. Pube.
Close, yeah.
Close enough. And then
he's got a mustache to match.
And then I got to the part where they sing the song where the only lyric is just saying prune over and over again. And I was like, oh, that's his name. Right.
Right. Now, you call that a song. I'm going to have to disagree with you there.
For lack of a better term.
Right.
What would you call it?
I mean, song is easier to say than logorrhea.
Yeah, I would call it infuriating.
So, well, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that this particular ditty is sung by Tim's favorite character in any movie ever made.
Oh, the classic Christmas figure of Jonathan, the accountant.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Jonathan, the Christmas accountant, very important character. I grew up. I was usually Jonathan, the Christmas accountant, in my school's Christmas pageant.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I would love hanging a ledger on the Christmas tree.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like in the advent calendar where you just fill in each date and you remark, inventory. The real joy of Christmas.
Yeah.
Who reconciled the till incorrectly yesterday? That deposit was under by 23 cents.
Zero out the register and have a Merry Christmas.
That's right.
And the kids laugh in their childish delight at the antics of Jonathan. And this is weird because the first time I saw this, I recognized this actor. This is Misha Auer, who was actually in My Man Godfrey with fucking William Powell. He was in You Can't Take It With You, directed by Frank Capra.
Oh.
Yes. Worked in Hollywood for quite a long time, I think. And I have to say that
this must have been towards the end, I guess.
Oh, it absolutely was, because this movie came out in 1965. He passed away in 1967.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm like,
what I will say about the character of Jonathan, the Christmas accountant, is that in a film full of men who come across as people who should be nowhere near children, he somehow manages to outclass everyone else in that regard. He's the biggest pervert.
Right.
Yeah, the way he points elves to between his legs.
It's not good.
If they wanted to do a live action Nightmare Before Christmas, he's Jack right there. Just his body type, I think.
Yeah, but Sally would never go for.
Also, that he has an unsettling physical presence.
He does not have the charm of a Chris Sarandon voice character. Let's put it that way.
There's also
he'll be dubbed anyway.
I want to say 5 or 6 dwarves, little people who are playing the elves. Santa's elves. One of them,
usual thankless role for
one of them kind of looks like Jack Black. I don't know if y'all noticed that.
I didn't notice that. I did notice, and I actually screen capped a shot where the actor playing Jonathan is straight up sleeping during the take. And I'll have to put that up. But I didn't notice Tiny Jack Black, though.
Yeah. He's got kind of that, I don't know, short actor face. He seems familiar.
You know the guy I'm talking. You know that guy I'm talking about, right? Who looks kind of like Jack Black. Yeah,
I think one of the Moppets from Venture Brothers is modeled after him. Dr. Girlfriend's 2 henchmen. Anyway, man, that's too deep a cut.
That wouldn't surprise me, actually.
No, yeah, the show's deep in lore.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, and so that song, I think. One of you called it Logorrhea. I feel like if you had just done autocomplete on your phone, you could write lyrics for that song. If you just start with Hustle Bustle or something.
Sorry, just to be very clear, we're talking about the song where they just sing the word prune over and over and over again, right?
Right, yeah. The chorus is the single word prune.
I would argue that that's not Logorrhea, because Logorrhea, typically you're using a lot of different words in a way that is too broad and too diffuse and too descriptive repeating the same word over and over and over again just makes me feel like I got fucking hit on the head 10 times.
Well, come on, Josh. To be fair, you also have great lyrics like, we had a pet raccoon, ate donuts with a spoon.
This is more like Tourette's.
I mean, that's also, I guess that song comes after a song where Mr. Prune sings about how much he fucking hates kids. That has the line, and I wrote this one down, kids get all the breaks. They're just a bunch of fakes.
Yeah, kids are so phony.
Not many people know this, but Mr. Prune was actually a mod back on the LiveJournal community, CF Hardcore, which was where the really child-free people hung out. And those people were not normal.
He's workshopping a Catcher in the Rye musical.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, just like, oh, people are phonies. Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah, but, Holden Caulfield, loved his little sister and, hung out with them and, appreciated children because he was kind of iffy on growing up. Prune is just, a ball of hatred. And it is very fitting for these times where, we have, so much xenophobia and prejudice in this country because Prune is as Josh said, Prune is oh, kids, they fucking get everything. It's do they, dude?
Well, I mean, this is what this is supposed to be doing, is sort of setting our ears up to be wait, why does he hate kids so much? It sounds like maybe he has some sort of a traumatic incident in his own childhood. But it
resentment,
the resentment, exactly. But it just doesn't make sense. There is a way to write this where you are sort of given a window into this character, but he would need to have a much more specific grievance, I think, than fuck kids, all my homies hate kids,
Yeah, the movie, they shot the movie without writing it. That's pretty much, I think, the long and short of it. And also in this, Prune is telling on himself because he's but kids, they get all the breaks, they have all the toys, they never have to work. And it's motherfucker, you are rich.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think has the real privilege here?
Yeah, because as is set up at the beginning of the movie, Prune is a multimillionaire, and he is able to...
Well, he owns all the land in the Arctic Circle now, apparently.
Yeah, he has passive income from, Santa, who I guess has, infinite resources himself, up to a point.
I don't even know, and that's a whole other thing, which maybe is not fair, but, I have no idea how Santa's operation is supposed to work.
Oh, he doesn't pay. Those are migrant elves.
It is very, very strongly implied that those elves are, best case scenario, in some sort of indentured servitude.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. They get free room and board. Also, it's in the North Pole. Where are they going to escape to?
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. And which begs the question of I don't know why they didn't just take Prune up in Santa's sleigh and drop him into the middle of the Bering Strait. Right,
yeah. I mean, Prune even sort of exposed himself. I mean, well, not literally, although he does hate children and should not be around them. I could see Jonathan doing that. But he puts himself at risk by inviting himself over to the Clauses, which, I mean, keep in mind, it is a remote location. He has his own...
Does this guy not have anything better to do?
Right. Well, he has passive income. He doesn't work,
Well, that's the petty hatefulness of the extremely rich.
Sure.
I mean, Elon Musk bought Twitter because it pissed him off.
Right.
Prune buys the department store because he wants to fuck over Santa.
That really makes you think.
Yeah.
Don't it? Oh. Don't it just?
If I were Prune, though, I would not go to visit Santa because it is Santa's remote location. I can see him flying an upside down maritime U.S. flag. I'm not sure what the gun control laws are of the North Pole, but
Santa absolutely believes in stand your ground. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, for sure.
And
Santa
that's the thing
is
too.
Very trad.
Don't trust a man who owns reindeer.
Yeah, Prune comes by my place. I'm gonna be come and get it, motherfucker.
Well, that's the other thing, and as I said before,
he's a sovereign Santa.
This Santa, I don't know if it's just because Mrs. Claus has his dick in a Christmas cookie jar or what, but this man is so beaten down. He hasn't done anything about his living situation until 5 days before Christmas. he is basically led around by the nose by Mr. Whipple,
Right.
like completely fucking passive. And every single evil thing that Prune does, like, he's just like, oh.
Santa just like rolls over
yes,
and takes it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is such a bitch, and I hate him.
Yeah. She's Mrs. Claus has his jingle bells and a vice.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she
okay.
sucks too because, like, because she's been living with Santa for I don't know how many centuries. Like, every time she encounters a male character, and they're all male characters in this movie, she's like, oh, men are such children. And I was like, dude, you didn't have to marry fucking Santa, lady.
Well, that's the thing. It's like she's just has this like burning resentment that she's like fighting to keep that from coming out. It's just like, Santa, what the fuck happened to the gorgeous young man that I married? Just fat and
right.
lazy. Just, oh, what is with you men? I tied my life to you, you fat sack of shit, you passive little bitch. So but that just comes out as you men.
Well, but
Yeah.
the thing about the Santa is that he truly does lack initiative.
Mhm.
I mean, even when he is going out to work, labor, to toil, as the, I guess, department store Santa, for a moment, he even wants to chicken out of doing that, even though he is the most qualified person in the world, definitionally, to do the job.
Right. Because he has a problem with kids. Like he's weirded out by children. And again, someone who should not be around children. He's only comfortable with kids when they're unconscious.
Well, this is just going for my note here, right, about that. And I will read some of these. I just need to read verbatim.
Yeah.
Santa's not sure about awake children. Oh, God damn it. He's going to sing about it.
But yeah, the songs just like wash over you like a light breeze. Like none of them stick. Like, oh, he's saying about something. I don't know what.
I mean, his extended like riffing on how intimately he knows the patterns of sleeping children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get that it's part of the Santa mythos or whatever, but it just felt bad. I didn't like it.
It's
Also,
a bad song that makes you feel bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
It's Tim described it as a gentle breeze. Like, I would say these songs are like a gentle yet stinky breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a wet fart.
Yeah, there's just this pungent odor that kind of permeates your viewing experience.
Yeah, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Is someone singing? Like, what the? Ugh.
Right.
Open a window.
And then the fact too that is followed up by a sequence of fucking, God damn it, what are their names? Whipple and Santa like playing with toys, and it's just really disconcerting. There's something about the way that it's shot. There's something about the way that they can't stop laughing. It's supposed to, I think, represent childlike joy, but it just feels off.
Yeah, it's that forced whimsy, the sort of thing that we encountered in our toys episode, where it's like, hey, we're grown adults, but we're gonna act like kids, and you better act like a kid too, if you know it's good for you.
Yeah, and I think it clangs a lot more in toys, because toys ultimately ends up feeling like incredibly cynical. In this movie, I think, coming from like a lifelong children's entertainer, my whole attitude watching is kind of like, look, dude, I'm really glad that you like your job and that you appreciate children, because, children should be appreciated. Like, the development of young people is very important, and it's important for kids to be kids, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, Prune would disagree.
Well, I personally have opted out because I don't feel like I would be good at that kind of thing. And maybe I'm not really the audience for this, but it's still like, it sticks in my craw, like much like toys does.
I mean, I don't know. I like to think of myself as being somewhat still in touch with my inner child. Like, there are things that I still enjoy doing that make me feel like a little kid again. But I think that when it comes to children's entertainment, the stuff that I like the most that is children's entertainment is stuff that does not condescend to its audience. It makes you feel like a kid again because it helps you remember what it felt like to be a kid and to think like a kid in a way where, like, there's a whole world of possibilities available to you. And this is not a movie that does that at all. It does not expand your mind in any meaningful way. It simply limits it. And I think that's the case in everything, from the way that it's shot to the way that it's written, and especially in the way that these musical numbers are created and performed. There's no desire for you to join in, if that makes sense.
No, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, this is a movie about adults who want to feel like children, not to help children like feel like children.
Right.
You know?
And this is clearly designed as a children's movie, which is why
Right.
it's so fucking weird.
Yeah, it just doesn't land because like it doesn't understand its audience. Part of it.
Yeah, because there is
And they didn't write any songs.
There is an odd theme running through the movie of sort of like frustrated childhood, mostly from the character of Prune, who ultimately undergoes like a sort of catharsis, which allows him to get back in touch with the child that was denied so many years ago. And, Whipple and Santa playing with toys in the department store floor, that's kind of an embodiment of that sort of like, childlike joy and whatnot. But I think one of the reasons why it doesn't quite sit right is this is an extremely sentimentalized and idealized view of childhood.
Yes.
And Josh, what you said is very interesting, that, the best children's entertainment really reminds you of what it's like to be a kid. And I think like, people who are very good at that kind of thing, like using an example that was on our show, like kind of a Wild Swing that didn't quite connect with audiences, but the Dr. Seuss penned 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T.
Oh, yeah.
Very weird movie that doesn't entirely work, but it does.
It's
isn't
from
afraid.
the child's perspective, and it has the
Yes.
child's concerns. Yeah.
Yes, and it isn't afraid to connect kind of with a child's fear.
Yeah.
Or
I think,
like
but also, yeah, not ignoring the darkness, right?
Yes.
Like I feel like Dr. Seuss did that. I feel like Maurice Sendak really did that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like someone else who's very good at it was Bill Watterson with Calvin and Hobbes. And in fact, there's a panel where Calvin says, I think after getting his ass beat by Mo the bully, says, people who are nostalgic for childhood were obviously never children. Yeah. And that's very true. Like people who have forgotten like some of the miseries of childhood are really like glossing over a hell of a lot.
Oh yeah, and that's not to say that, childhood doesn't have great things in it, because it absolutely does. But I think you talk to any kid, like really talk to any kid, and although they don't quite have the framework for processing it yet, they will have experienced a great deal of darkness. And that darkness sits alongside and under the rest of their life experiences. And there's no real darkness in this movie. That's part of the problem with Prune, right? Is that we're supposed to believe that this is a guy who has come to hate children as a result of his own childhood being denied him. But it turns out that the payoff is that he just didn't get the gift he wanted one year. And it's like, that
So entitled.
That doesn't make sense. And if that is what happened, then this guy fucking sucks ass. Like, that's a shitty fucking kid. You know what I mean?
You want to talk about some of the like ignoring the darkness in childhood? What better way to address that than a song saying, "Got no time to be sad. Christmas comes and you got to be glad." It is Sam just like taking the kids by the shoulder and being like, "God damn it, it's Christmas time. Cheer up."
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's something that's designed to be. It has the shape of or the feel of. I'm trying to think of like an equivalent number in. Okay, let's take, for instance, We Need a Little Christmas Right This Very Minute, right? From Mame, which then, of course, ended up having a whole life of its own. In its original context, that is a woman who is having a fucking panic attack, and she's controlling for it by being like, we need all the Christmas shit, and we need it right the fuck now.
Where's mommy's medicine?
Yeah.
That's a really good thing to bring up, because as it is in the movie, Sam Whipple's song about like, hell yeah, it's fucking Christmas and you better fucking smile just because it's fucking Christmas. Yeah. Like on its surface, of course, it's very cheerful, but it like songs like that or, entertainment like that is like a repudiation of the idea that, there could be anything dark about childhood, which rings so false.
It isn't even considered.
I think it is such a profoundly disquieting thing for so many children when you first learn that like adults will absolutely like ignore your feelings.
Or
and
perhaps
also,
that there isn't a Santa Claus.
or the feeling of, oh wow, these adults are also scared. You know, just going back to
Yeah.
Mame again, the fact that like that song is she doesn't fucking have any money because the stock market crash happened,
Yeah.
but she's trying to create a like still the appearance of a good world for the kids who are in her charge, you know? That's something that makes you feel something, because it's about the dissonance between the presentation of what is happening versus the reality of what is happening, and the distance between the desired outcome and the emotional stakes of the moment.
Yeah, it's something that you can actually engage with rather than have it just be a song about happy things being nice, which you just kind of like, it goes one ear and out the other.
I mean, even fucking, okay, so as long as we're going to talk about musicals, right? I think another great example of a song that is a cheering up song is, of course, My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music.
Yes.
Which has also become a holiday classic. But again, the original context there is that Maria has come across all of the kids and they're freaked out because there's a big storm going on. And so she has to figure out a way to control the situation, to come up with a song that is going to raise these kids' spirits and make them feel safe.
Yeah, focus on something else. Think of the things that you like, the things that you feel safe around. Think of your favorite things.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not just Julie Andrews going roses, 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 whiskers, kittens.
No, exactly.
It's also like in that other classic song from Christmas that almost wasn't, think of something.
Think of something. Think of something. Think of what is it with like
Those are the goddamn lyrics.
This keeps happening with, and I must apologize to the entire crew of Worst of All Possible Worlds, because as I recall, Josh, when all three of you were on to discuss Aladdin, there was also a song where someone was thinking and indicating they were thinking by going hum mum mum mum.
Which is worse now.
Oh, this is worse.
Okay,
this is much worse.
It's like getting an F on a test versus getting a 0.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Well,
that one, Aladdin,
that one had Disney money plowed into it, right?
because didn't that have fucking? That had some Broadway person in it, as I recall.
Donna McKechnie.
That's right. Donna McKechnie was in it.
Dancing Doll of Fame. Fatima.
Who I actually just saw Donna McKechnie on Broadway a couple weeks ago in Wicked.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's.
I love that song from Wicked. We're like wicked, 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 wicked. It's very catchy.
Yeah, like, well, Aladdin is a whole other ball of wax. Listen to our Aladdin episode starring the boys from The Worst of All Possible Worlds. I should link that, but I can link to all of your.
She was Fatima the Dancing Doll. I'm remembering again.
Yes,
that was a bad movie.
It's pretty poor, and I think.
Sorry, I missed that one. Yeah.
No, you're not. I very deliberately said to you, Tim, you can skip this one because I knew you would not have a good time.
Right.
As opposed to this one where you thought he would have a good time.
Okay, like I didn't
Tim
know
likes
about
musicals,
all the.
yeah.
I was saying to it before we got rolling on recording. I was working off of what I had seen in the Mystery Science Theater episode.
Sure.
I put this on Tubi, and I was like, "Huh, that's weird. I don't remember it opening with a song." And then there are more songs that I didn't remember, and I was like, "Oh, shit!"
Or maybe you're like me, and you're like, "Huh, that's weird. I don't remember 3 hours."
You just dissociated completely. But
like, oh shit, I'm late for the podcast.
On the positive side, I got all my Legos sorted while in a fugue state.
Oh, nice.
Right? Yeah.
Tim is always
by the way,
sorting.
Tim, I saw that Lego Mist Island that you built. That was so fucking cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm quite proud of that.
It was really something in person.
You got to do
too.
Riven next. The whole thing.
I have some ideas.
I made you laugh, but he'll do it.
Yeah.
The things that Tim has achieved in Lego are not to be sneezed at.
I just played. Have you played the new Riven?
I downloaded it, but I haven't played it. So
I love it. We'll have to talk about it later. We're way off track now.
Yeah,
it's just
because
whenever I think about Scion worlds, I have to talk about them.
Yeah, the amount of like detail that they put into the environments is unreal. Yeah.
Unlike the Christmas that almost wasn't.
Yeah,
I
less
wish it
attention to
wasn't.
detail.
I wish it wasn't produced, folks.
Yeah, thanks, Italy.
Be sure to bill your clients. Speaking of childlike, just useless adult men in this. I mean, you know, in a way, like Mrs. Claus does kind of have a point, but yeah, there's the point where Sam and Santa are working at the department store, and again, like you're saying, Santa is the most qualified person to play Santa at the mall, but still he like is getting cold feet, and the two of them barely functional adults. Sam has to like train like Santa on the spectrum to deal with strangers. Like he has to talk to strangers. Like he teaches Santa masking. Like how do you pretend to be jolly?
Okay, I think I'm coming back around on the I think they're both. I think you're neurodivergent and also stupid.
Yeah, you can be both.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the rich pageantry of the neuroatypical. There are like so many different kinds of people, and some of them are fucking dumb, like these two assholes.
Yeah, being neurotypical, atypical, and being stupid, those are orthogonal to each other. You can be a childlike moron.
I mean, you have a good point, Tim, because Whipple has to teach Santa how to laugh.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that seems like it should come pretty naturally to Santa.
I assumed him to be a jolly old elf, but I guess not. He lost his mojo. But yeah,
I guess with the rent situation, he has been a little down, but like, come on, Santa.
Could be, yeah.
This also would have been actually an appropriate time for a musical number. Like most of the times that musical numbers show up, they don't belong there. But in this case, you could have a number. I'm glad they didn't, because, every time a musical number came up, I wanted to fucking kill myself. But,
well, part of what...
But yeah, again, I'm just like thinking of all the musicals I've seen. I Love to Laugh from Mary Poppins, right?
Yeah.
Just pull that in.
Yeah. But
no, that's true, because no, go ahead, Tim.
I say, in a way, this isn't not only not a musical, it's like an anti-musical, because a musical, they use songs to advance the plot, but that does not happen here.
No.
Yeah, so it's antithetical to being a musical.
That's a really good point, because nothing that's important to the story happens in a song.
Yeah, it's filler. Being like, hey, you need to look up some guy's name in the phone book. All right, prune. Like, oh, jeez. Yeah,
or like
teaching Santa how to play Santa would be a perfect opportunity for that.
Yeah, or Sam telling Santa that he's going to have to get a job.
Right?
That's true.
Like, that could have been a number.
I mean, those are all... There is such a rich tradition in musical theater of both of those, right? Of like somebody setting down an ultimatum or somebody teaching somebody else how to do something. Those are two classic musical theater setups.
Well, maybe in a way, Think of Something is that song. They just never got around to.
I guess.
Yeah, it was like they wrote just TK on all their sheet music, and then
Bridge goes here.
Yeah, and then they got to the set, and they were like, fuck.
I thought you wrote it.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then they just...
Oh my god, I just thought of another place that you could have a fucking song. That would be a perfect spot for a song.
Yeah?
Is like the fucking part at the end where there is a child who is... so inspired by seeing that sad, destitute Santa that he does the fucking midnight bark from 101 Dalmatians, but for children. And they all come in with their piggy banks and parents' pocketbooks to give Santa money. That would work really well as a song, because you would have it start as a solo, and then somebody else would pick up and it would become a duet, and then you would get a few other people, and then they would all
get a whole chorus
come out, and then everybody would come in for the big 4-part chorus. Easy.
I don't know. Sounds hard to me.
I don't know how to write a musical theater number. to be very clear.
Yeah.
But I know what the point of musical theater numbers are because I have seen a fair bit of musical theater.
Yeah, like you
Fair
understand
enough.
the conventions enough to be like, why is this not doing the thing that everyone else knows to do?
Right.
But are you saying that lyrics like Santa Claus, Merry Christmas Santa Claus isn't enough to hang a song on?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that could have used another pass.
Look, that 6 words, 4 of them are different. I don't know. Maybe you're asking too much.
Probably. No,
Yeah.
I think I am. But that doesn't change the fact that they should have fucking done something different.
Right, yeah, writing an entire song, just more than just like these are one-line songs.
Oh, yeah.
More or less.
I feel like I should also note here as well, just sort of plot-wise, that there is, once, Santa starts working in the department store,
Mhm.
I got completely fucking lost in the sauce because Prune shows up with his like assistant / patient lover. And it's really not clear what they're even trying to do. Like, I think they're trying to tranquilize Santa for some reason with a blow dart. And then they like try to dump powder on him. And it's not clear what the powder is supposed to be. And then there's like a child who gives the best performance in this movie, by the way, who fucking sees them and reads them for filth. It is so funny.
Yeah, this small judgy child like just fucking alphas Prune and he has to leave.
He's got to fucking leave. And so then Prune decides, well, what I just need to do is buy the entire store. And that, of course, then leads us to this big thing at the end where it's like, well, shit, if Prune owns the store and Prune owns the North Pole and he's not going to pay out the salary, what the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
And the answer is
Kill
all
him.
the children give Santa money.
The children save Christmas.
Which goes directly into the pocket of the landlord.
Yeah, there's just no hope. No peace on earth or anything. Just, capital succeeds at the end.
Right.
Capital always wins.
Yeah, because you know what's fucked about this movie is it is entirely about like dutifully working within incredibly unfair systems.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like you don't topple the landlord, you don't have like, man, can you imagine if Chairman Mao showed up at the end and just fucking iced Prune? That would
It
be
is an
awesome.
honest to goodness conservative Christmas movie, and you don't get that many of those. Ones that are like
No.
truly fundamentally conservative.
Right.
Yeah,
You get ones
because
that, like socially or that notion of like a return to an imagined past. But no,
Yeah, tradition or whatever,
Yeah.
sure. But
yeah,
its
in terms of
ethos is
Yeah, and like this is economic conservatism because if you look at what Prune does, like in the scene in particular, like he buys capital to exploit it. He's pretty much a vulture capitalist in
Right.
which he basically commits wage theft against Santa and Sam.
That's right.
Because
he destroys a couple of objects in the
Yes.
store and then is like, you broke those. I guess I'm going to have to garnish it from your wages.
yeah, he destroys property, pockets
His
the
own
wages.
property.
Right?
Out of
Yeah.
spite.
It's like a tax write-off or something.
What
So
a
like
dick.
yeah, the result being that like Prune is enriched, Santa's out of work, he doesn't have any money, toys are destroyed, for children at Christmas time. So the only ones that lose are like the department store, the children, and Santa. So it's a perfect encapsulation of Prune finding ways to enrich himself while ruining everything else around him.
Yeah, and then at the end, we're supposed to be glad that this completely unvarnished villain like gets his like redemption arc.
Yeah, he has his Ebenezer Scrooge moment where
And he gets paid too.
that's right.
Yeah.
He gets
Yeah.
the money and then they give him a gift because Jonathan the accountant found a misplaced piece of mail and that was the childhood letter that Prune sent along to Santa, I guess, asking for a sailboat. And so they go and they deliver it to him. And the end?
Yeah, I love that Christmas hangs on correcting a logistical oversight.
Yeah, and then and as we mentioned before, this this movie is just packed with fellows who seem like they should not be around children, but it's all like very much like repressed. And then at the end, like, Prune practically has a psychotic break and literally at one point, like, runs down a child and tackles him.
Oh my God, I have the note in all caps. Don't chase that child.
It's so scary. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Except
Stop.
actually, what it actually says, because I was typing it very quickly and it didn't autocorrect, is don't chase that quild.
You're like, I'm too mad.
So
I'm not
horrified.
going back. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and then he forces the sailboat upon this adorable tow-headed moppet.
That's right.
And then, thankfully, a crowd finally shows up. And, you know, not to tear Prune limb from limb, but I guess to at least make sure that the kid is okay. It's very fucked up.
One other moment that I did just want to note very briefly that takes place sort of during this is that once Santa gets put out on his ass, for some reason, there is this shot that repeats itself 3 times where it fades from like this miniature of a cityscape over to, oh God, what is it? Like there's a song about what the nature of Santa is. And then you get these crossfades and then there's this cut to the same shot of them walking side by side in sync, step by step. And it happens 3 times. And the 3rd time, I stood up and I cheered because it was so fucking stupid. And I was like, they got to do it a 3rd time. Please do it a 3rd time. They did it a 3rd time.
They let the guy writing the music hold the camera for that scene.
Yeah, clearly.
Like,
Yeah, it's yeah, because that's like a series of hard cuts to that shot.
Yes.
Because
that's what makes it so funny. Because all of the other transitions are crossfades and cross dissolves, whereas this one's a hard cut and the music stops.
Yeah, and then cut to Whipple and Santa like trudging miserably through the streets of the town. The song that had been going on in the meantime is about, it's all the children singing about how I've got a date with Santa.
Right. Yikes.
Totally normal.
Then it dissolves back to the cityscape and the song starts back up again.
It's so weird. It is a weird edit.
It does this 3 times. I feel like it's very difficult to communicate without really seeing it and hearing it how funny this is. Maybe it's just because where I was at with my own mental state at this point, but oh boy, it made me very, very happy.
Very magical moment.
Yes, indeed. In a movie just chock full of magical moments. Magical ass moments.
I don't think that we spent enough time on how Prune basically wins. Yeah, because he gets to the department store, he gets rent, he stays rich, and he gets the Christmas present that he didn't get before.
He doesn't return the land, right?
No, why would he? It's passive income. He needs that.
Yeah, and this is neoliberal bullshit, like implying that your landlord can be redeemed and that he will be your friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I do like though then the scene where they pay Prune, then Santa's free to go about what he's going to do anyway. Weird that like there were no disruptions in service. Like Santa had pretty much assumed he was going to deliver presents on Christmas Eve anyway. But yeah, then they go flying around town. They go to visit Prune, and I do appreciate how Prune is momentarily scared, where he's like, "Are these 3 ghosts?" It's like, yeah, when the employee that you fired shows up in your home unannounced.
That's kind of real bad, real fast. Yeah. No. Instead, it was moment. Just the only reason they threw that in there was to like lampshade A Christmas Carol. But I really prefer the idea of it becoming very dangerous very quickly.
Right, yeah. That's so funny when you like go lord over the deed at Santa's house. Like he knows where you live.
Yeah, and I really kind of wish they just started silently advancing on his bed while cracking their knuckles.
Absolutely.
Oh, and this is another weird thing because not only do they make nice with Prune, the man who has like held them under emotional terror for a year. But Mrs. Claus notices how dusty his place is, and they start cleaning it up and decorating it. Because
they perform free labor for this motherfucker.
It's bullshit. And it's also weird because he has that like creepy manservant who's named Blossom. Unfortunately not played by Mayim Bialik.
That's fine.
And
Yeah, what do you do here?
yeah, I don't know what that guy does except like, spoon feed him cod liver oil and whisper in his ear because like that place is like the dust is like an inch thick. I'm like, dude, like what do you do all day? I guess they just spoon or something.
Well, they're kind of exercising
Spoon
by
prune.
dusting the paradox of intolerance. It's like, well, yeah, we can't be rude to this guy who tried to kick us out into the snow up until earlier today.
Like
we want-
what is this philosophy? Like what is this? Is this like a religious thing or like what is this mentality where it's like no, you just have to lie down like a bitch every single time. Don't fight.
It's Protestantism.
Ugh.
It's just Protestantism.
That's so
all
weird
it is.
because this was made
Don't
in
ever think
Rome. You'd think it would be like some
Right?
Catholic shit.
No, but it's very, very Protestant. Like this is a mindset that I know pretty fucking well from my childhood.
Right, because you're and that is one of the if I may wax positive about your very good podcast, Josh. It is very informative for those of us who might know about evangelical Christianity but are not familiar with like, just how deep it goes. I've learned a lot from your show.
We really try to dig into the specifics, like not just of the thing itself, but also the way that these forces are becoming more and more entrenched in the government and now, of course, are receiving their big payday with the coming second Trump administration.
Yes, the stripping of America for parts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is something which I've mentioned in passing on our show, kind of the pernicious influence of evangelical Christianity in American politics, kind of starting in the 70s with the post Roe versus Wade anti-abortion movement and all that other fun stuff. Check out our episode on the documentary Lake of Fire. But yeah, like it's like, and then once, that's another good thing about your show is that once you kind of start to see it, like you see just how pernicious this ideology is and how it like is, it kind of sneaks into so much of what we just accept as kind of like cultural wallpaper.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to give you like secret glasses that you can put on, and it's like the fucking glasses from They Live, where once you're wearing them, you just can't unsee it.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah, I'm Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Perfect. Yeah. You're staying woke.
Yeah.
Yeah, They Live.
Who wants
We
to
Sleep.
wrestle?
Yeah, They Live was the original woke movie. One of the things that I am hesitant to give this movie credit, but Santa does early on in the movie, not during a song because information is actually conveyed. He explains how it is important to be generous to children and to give them gifts during Christmas because basically what you're doing is you're teaching them generosity so they learn to model a certain kind of behavior where it's like, if I'm nice to you, you learn to be nice to other people. So there is a validity to Prune's sort of ethos, his motivation, because he wants to eradicate childhood because he doesn't want children to learn those behaviors. Like, let's say again, this being a insidiously conservative movie, where, for example, if say you had a political movement that was based on intimidation and violence, you absolutely do not want people to learn to be generous and sympathetic. That's me giving this movie way more credit than it deserves.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, could you not argue though that like what it's my thought is there is a big difference between generosity that is actual altruism versus the generosity of the what I consider to be the false generosity of philanthropy, which is basically just saying, well, these people, because they have this wealth, they are better suited to give it out than is the case for if that money were to just be taken at the hands of the people or the state or what have you. So the giving to these kids is not necessarily something that you do out of a place of like, I'm having trouble landing this thought.
Well, I think because obviously Santa being
Well, I see it as a way of teaching altruism.
Yeah.
right, because it's like Santa being like a mythical kind of magical figure, like he sort of embodies like this boundless selflessness.
Sure.
And then you have Prune, who is very much like, pure, like cold rational.
Well, just Ebenezer Scrooge, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like he's his idea in eradicating childhood, to remove Christmas, like he's on the same side of like loosening child labor laws and restricting birth control, to basically speed along children into to be an exploited like working class.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like Santa wants the kids to be kids, and Prune,
Yeah.
because he is so like anti-child, he's like, forget it. I didn't have a childhood, so you don't get a childhood.
Yeah,
But
it's
this
like
is also
my
what
parents
makes
beat
it-
me and I turned out okay.
This is what also just makes this thing so weird, though, because it's like it's so very obvious that the main point of inspiration here is A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
And the reason that A Christmas Carol is a timeless story is that the whole point is the value of generosity, right?
Mhm.
And that is so strongly landed by the fact that Ebenezer Scrooge himself needed to experience what generosity means and what it can do in order to become a better version of himself. Whereas this movie's thesis seems to be that you just need to get shit.
Yeah, there's your entitlement right there.
Like, that's weird, right?
Yeah. And it,
Like he just failed to get the thing at the right time. And if he could have people need to just be getting more shit.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's a
I'm
really
turning.
good
Maybe
point.
I think this movie's good. Actually, maybe maybe this movie is a strong defense of the necessity of the welfare state.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as
like
represented by Santa.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if Prune had just gotten that fucking model sailboat, he would have
That's right.
been such a tremendous dick for the rest of
That's
his
right.
life.
Okay, so here
Yeah.
we go. Here we go. The point of this movie is that we made a huge mistake by leaving all of these mechanics, the mechanics of, commerce, in the hands of private industry as represented by Santa Claus. Instead, no, but it's not about this. It's about fascism is what it is. We have Santa Claus who sort of occupies this semi-public, semi-private landscape, but sort of like gets rights to lands that were gifted to him by the natives on sort of this like handshake agreement. And that is replaced, right, by an express privatization of the thing and all of its forces as sanctioned by state power. It is bringing these systems under the firm control of private industry, hand in hand with the fascist state. That's
Right.
what this movie
Yeah.
is doing, because it's Italian, of course.
Yeah,
Wow.
the North Pole used to be a state park, but now
That's
they're just
right.
going to drill there.
That's right.
Yeah, so it is a public good for private profits.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank God AJ didn't come on this episode, because we would be reading him the riot act right now. Again, AJ, this is your movie made by your people.
Yeah, come
Right.
on, AJ.
So yeah, the and again,
Why did you make this movie in 1966, AJ?
Why
What were you
did you
thinking?
do it? Why did you do it?
Prune with his antipathy towards Santa. Again, that is about the dismantling of the welfare state, because if you just gift children toys, it is a disincentive to them going out and getting jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's true.
They're just going to stay home and experience joy and grow up to be, well-rounded adults, which we can't have that.
No.
So, yeah, there's the conservative messages embodied by Prune.
Ah,
I
we
don't
cracked
believe
it,
anything,
folks.
by the way, that I've said about anything in this episode, other than that I hate this fucking movie. This was awful.
Right.
I will never, ever forgive you for making me watch this fucking shit, Jen. This
You
is
know
one
what?
of the
That's fair.
this is one of the worst things I've seen in a while.
I
Well-
think we like prune pilled Josh now. Like he's gonna come back as an adult. Like no one gets a podcast.
That's
I had
right.
to watch
That's
a
right.
shitty movie. For
That's
one.
right.
Well, all I can say, Josh, is that hurt people hurt people. And I'm sorry that I lashed out, but I needed my anger to go somewhere. And
Certainly,
most of the
I
time
understand.
it goes into my podcast.
Well, you
I-
know what? In the spirit of good Christian mercy, I forgive you. How about that?
Thanks.
I would like to contribute something to apologize to Josh, but all I can think of is think of something. Think of something. Think of something. Think of something. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can show your support by going to patreon.com/haveyouseenthis and make a pledge at the $2 or $5 tier. $5 a month gets the latest episode before everyone else, plus access to our Discord, where we're always arguing about movies. If you'd like to give us a tip, our Ko-Fi link is in the show notes. I mean, I did do an autocomplete of one of those songs, and it was Christmas Hustle Bustle and a little more of the old school Christmas party at my old school in a few weeks ago.